live in Restream either.
No, and we are live now though.
You know what? I'm gonna get you. So I'm the guinea pig. You gonna tell me about the app?
Yes, you're the guinea. I
Now you
know,
tell
girl.
me. Now
I'm
you
like,
tell
girl,
me.
I told you whatever's free is for me. I love free stuff. And so this is
Me too.
definitely a free one for me, girl. That's why I did the videos because I know that, there's a lot of people that don't understand that you don't have to always use
Mhm.
YouTube. There's so many free platforms out there
Yes,
that
yes,
you can
that's so
use.
true.
And it's no need to, think that there's nothing free out there. And
Right,
Restream is definitely free.
right. Yes, it is, y'all. 'Cause
Restream is free.
I never thought because I always wonder how people go live on multiple. Because I'm like, yeah, I'm live on this and this, and I'm like, how many phones they got? Like, how you going live on,
Exactly.
on
I
all these
know,
different
right?
platforms? So they're probably using a app like Restream.
Right.
Um, so I am. Let me see. Yeah, when I hit the live chat, it took my little picture in picture away though. When I hit it says private chat, privately talk with the host and other guests. Oh,
Oh,
okay.
yes. It has, like, a private chat where,
Oh,
yeah.
okay. Oh,
Yep.
cool. Okay. So let me get my little picture back up here. This is what I get for clicking on stuff. Okay. All right, there we go. Okay. All right. So we are live. Using Restream for the first time.
Yes. Woohoo!
So, so Natalie and I are both entrepreneurs. We've gone live before on YouTube. Natalie is a former, correct me if I'm wrong, you're a former legal secretary, correct? Or
Right.
no? Okay.
Yep, I used to be a legal secretary back in the day, long day.
Okay.
Probably, basically in the 2000s, like, 2008, 2005, way back
Hmm.
then.
Okay.
Yeah, so
Okay, cool. Well, today we are talking about the infamous BOIR. Look, I'm like two different acronyms because when I kept reading about it and researching, I'm like, wait a minute, I see BOI and I'm like, okay, beneficial, ownership, information. And then the R, if you see the R, it's for reporting. So we're going to talk about that. We're going to dig into what it is. It's being upheld. So if you haven't heard about that, then pretty much it was upheld by a court in Texas. And we're going to take a look at it overall because I'm new to this. I know a lot of you are new to it. If you're an entrepreneur and you're probably trying to figure out, okay, what's this BOIR? What do I need
right.
to do? So that's what we're going to talk about. And again, I have Natalie with me. She's the owner of Geeks Are Women Too.
Yeah.
And we're going to give her information as well within while we're talking live. And if you guys have any questions, please let us know. We are going to be utilizing the FinCEN website.
Mhm.
And their website is, I wonder, I should be able to drop that in the chat.
Yep.
Or,
While you
okay.
looking for that, I'm just gonna
Okay.
give a shout out to Mackenzie and Grace Scared. How y'all doing? I see y'all said hello in the
Hi.
chat.
Thanks for joining. Y'all, I'm on a new we're
Thank you
using a
so
new
much.
live stream. Yes, thanks for joining. Okay, I copied it. So let's see, y'all. I'm gonna drop this in the okay. I want to chat. I want to drop this in the chat for you guys. So you know if so you guys will know. And let me know if you guys see the link that I just dropped in the chat. That's what we're gonna be, or that's what we're gonna be utilizing. That's what I have up as we go through this live to discuss the BOIR.
Now
So,
I got the link. I'm not
okay.
sure if y'all should drop a one in the chat if you got it.
Yeah, because I put the link that I put in the chat is the FinCEN.gov, and it's the facts. No, frequently asked questions. I don't know why I always want to say facts.
And let us know
Frequently asked
if you
questions.
didn't get the link. Let us know so
Okay.
she can make sure you get it.
Oh, okay. I don't need that update. Okay. And thanks for checking the chat because you see I'm trying to maneuver.
It's okay. It's
I'm
just
trying to
so
talk.
I love this platform because it just shows you everything. It's real good.
It does. I'm excited to keep using it, and I'll be sure to leave the information of the platform that I'm using for you guys in case you're interested. So welcome to Mind Your Business podcast. I hadn't been calling my platform a podcast, but I guess I need to start saying podcast. But
Mhm.
welcome to Mind Your Business podcast. My name is Trina. I am the owner of Get Around Town, which is a community of small business owners and consumers. Visit getaroundtown.org to learn more about my business. And today, again, we're going to be talking about the BOIR. And I wrote down like a couple of key points for us to touch base on, and then I'm sure you have your notes.
Yep.
Um, so first, I want to say BOIR stands for Beneficial Ownership Information Reporting. Is where the R comes in, and it is being managed by FinCEN, which is the Financial Crime Enforcement Network.
Mhm.
And that was created under yet another acronym. That was created under CTA, the Corporate Transparency Act, which was passed by Congress in 2021. That was a
Right.
lot to say. But they didn't start accepting the registrations until this year, 2024. January 1st, 2024 is when they began accepting the applications. So I'm going to stop there. Natalie, do you have anything to add to that or anything that
Yep.
I may have missed?
It's okay. I just so you know, I'm Natalie from Geeks Are Women Too. I also have a YouTube channel. My website is geeksarewomen2.com. And I am so happy to be here with you guys today. But the fencing, basically, if you want to see a quick, just a quick, if you want to look at it really, really quick, I put the Corporate Transparency Act on my website, so you can go through that and look through it, and it'll tell you, you know, exactly what's going on. I also put the actual court case that it is in now. So they are in court, and actually, it was overturned. So now is that's what me and Trina were talking about. How do you really have to sign up? That is the big question that is really important because for one thing, they were stating that if you didn't sign up, you would get a fine of $500 a day, and you also could receive jail time and civil penalties. So everybody avoided that because supposedly there's a temporary hold, and that's what we are trying to debate at this moment about the temporary hold. So Trina, I'm sure you want to dig into that. I know you want to dig right into that about this temporary hold um,
Yeah,
that is on there.
yeah, I'm actually like trying to dig into it some more because it's so much information though.
Yeah.
And it's a lot of information. Like when I went on to the frequently asked questions, it's
Hmm.
it's like brain overload. So I was like trying to skim through and pick out the burning questions that I had.
Right.
I still didn't get to one question
Mhm.
And we'll probably be looking through that or come across that as we're talking.
Mhm.
But like, well, I'm just gonna start with my first point. Well, not my first point. I want to say my first question is I have like, what is BOI? What is BOIR? And when
Okay.
you go to the frequently asked questions, again, we drop the link in the chat so you guys can follow along with us, or even and definitely take time on your own
Right.
to read over this information, because I personally have not read over everything. It's a lot of information, but I have been following various articles and stories about this just so I can stay in the know, because it took you, Natalie, and my other
Mhm.
girlfriend to even tell me about this, because other than that, I would have never known about it either.
Right.
Um,
Exactly.
but it tells us, when we go to what is beneficial ownership information, it is, let me see, when I click on it, I wanted to, okay. It says beneficial ownership information refers to identifying information about the individuals who directly or indirectly own or control a company. So that's what the BOIR is. And
Right.
just to add to that, I did read that, because it mentions in here in the description any individual who directly or indirectly. So when it comes to indirectly, I did read that it can be an employee. So it can
Mhm.
be someone that the owner gives authority to register under the BOI. So I thought that was interesting. So it doesn't have to be technically the owner that can
Right.
do it, but it can be an employee or someone that
Right.
the owner appoints for that.
Right.
So, what are your thoughts about that?
Well, definitely. When I first filled it out, it took no longer than 10 to 15 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
So, it wasn't a long drawn out thing. And I definitely wanted to emphasize that what, the running around and making people do things like this, to
Mm-hmm.
where they don't want to get caught up, was the $500, per day. I felt like that was a big push to go and fill this out. So what I started doing at Geeks Are Women Too, I started offering free advisory and assistance to fill out this actual BOR report. The I started definitely filling out the report, and offering that service.
Mm-hmm.
So, and it's still free just until January 1st. And Trina, you mentioned that you had looked over and saw that not everybody has the same deadline.
Correct.
That surprised me too. So when you read a little bit into it, you'll
Mm-hmm.
see that everybody's deadline was different. And I didn't know that either. So she really taught me something new. So,
It's a lot. That's why I said it's a
yeah.
lot of information, because when I read over it the first time, I didn't catch that. Then when I
Hmm.
went back over it and I just thought, I'm like, okay, let me read this. Okay. And then I'm like, okay, let me go see what this says. So when I read that, because I was like, oh, okay. So it kind of depends on when you actually registered your business with your specific state,
Hmm.
jurisdiction will determine your deadline.
Right.
And I have that as one of my points as well. And I think that may be like number 3 or number 4, but it's I have that written down. But
Right.
for number 2, so again, check the chat. We did drop the link to the FinCEN frequently asked questions. And I think that's a good starting point
Mhm.
for someone that's not familiar with this. Because again, I'm going to keep repeating this because it's a lot of information, like a
It
ton
is.
of information. So for number 2, I have, why do companies have to report? So when we go to the frequently asked questions on why do companies have to report,
Mhm.
it says in 2021, Congress passed the Corporate Transparency Act. on bipartisan basis. This law creates a beneficial ownership information reporting requirement as part of the U.S. government's efforts to make it harder for bad actors to hide or benefit from their ill-gotten gains through shell companies or other opaque. I'm, I'm, I think I pronounced it correctly. Ownership structures.
Mhm.
So that's their reasoning behind creating um, the BOI, why we
Mhm.
have to register for this. So reading all
And
of that, I want to just say it sums up to basically say, like, they want to make sure that you're running a legitimate business,
mhm.
that you're not running any type of fraud or scam, saying that you have a business, but you really don't, is
Right.
what I'm getting from this.
Right. So and so I definitely believe that okay, there are shell companies. There are
Mm-hmm.
companies that
Mm-hmm.
people hide, and you have the PPP loan people that took out those loans and did all those
Yep.
things. So I definitely believe they created this because of that.
Mm-hmm.
But I also saw that in the lawsuit, it was stating that it was against the Constitution. So there
Yeah.
is something illegal about wanting you to register your small business, which is definitely why it's on temporary hold as right now. So
Yeah.
there's something illegal about that because it goes against the Constitution.
Mm-hmm.
And they're targeting, all of these small business owners. And we all know that some of the bigger corporate companies are, they have shell companies and they do money laundering. Some of those companies and they send money overseas. They do all kinds of stuff. And next thing you know, you know, there this government is hitting everybody with this situation.
Mm-hmm.
So, just like I said, I never wanted to see anybody pay $500 a day. And if anyone is stating to you that the BOR, you have to pay for it, you do not have to pay for this. This is totally free.
Mm-hmm.
Geeks Are Women 2 advisory is totally free. If you go to my page, geeksarewomen2.com, and schedule an appointment, you get a free advisory and you also get assistance with filling out the BORI form if you are not familiar. But there should be no one that is charging for this because this is absolutely free and it only takes 5 to 10 minutes. It's not a long form and there's nothing hard on there. Basically, you only need your EIN and you will have to upload your driver's license or some form of ID so they know who you are. And that's basically it. But it is,
Mm-hmm.
I definitely agree that there's a lot of stuff going on out here, but I am kind of glad that it's on temporary hold. I don't know if
Yep.
I want I
Yeah.
mean, just like you said, that information is already in the system at the Secretary of State. So
Mm-hmm.
what is the use? I mean, you also have, if you need your EIN, they could have just asked the IRS. Why do you have a problem with asking the IRS for an EIN? I'm sure
Mm-hmm.
you have it anyway, but that's neither here nor there.
Right. Right.
But like I
Exactly.
said, you could go to the IRS and get that type of information. But I believe because they don't have the consent of the actual consumer,
Mm-hmm.
that's the reason why they're trying to say, hey, you know, we need to ask you for this, or you need to come fill it out voluntarily.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that's coercion and I don't think it's voluntary for you to tell somebody that if you don't come and do what you're supposed to do, that it's going to be $500 a day. What's voluntary about that?
Right. Right.
That's all I want to know. Like,
Yeah.
what's so voluntary about that? $500 a
Yeah.
day,
I
and you're
have
going
my
to jail. That none of that is voluntary.
nope. And I have my thoughts about that, but I'm gonna save that for last.
Okay.
Um, Number three, under the CTA, which is the Corporate Transparency Act, who can access the BOI info? So these are the burning questions that I had. Like, I want to
Mhm.
know, like, who's gonna have access to this. So, and that is for on the frequently asked questions. So it says, in accordance with the Corporate Transparency Act, FinCEN may permit access to beneficial ownership information to federal agencies engaged in national security, intelligence, or law enforcement activity,
Mhm.
state, local, and tribal law enforcement agencies with court authorization, officials at the Department of the Treasury, which they're over this, so okay. Um, Foreign law enforcement agencies, judges, prosecutors, and other authorities that submit a request through a U.S. federal agency to obtain beneficial ownership information for authorized activities related to national security, intelligence, and law enforcement.
Mhm.
Financial institutions with customer due diligence requirements under applicable law in order to facilitate compliance with those requirements. So that would be your banks, banking
Alright.
institutions.
Yeah.
And then they have last federal functional regulators or other appropriate regulatory agencies that supervise or assess financial institutions with access to beneficial ownership information in order to supervise such financial institutions compliance with customer due diligence requirements.
Hmm.
So these are the situations in which they will have access to the beneficial ownership information.
Mhm. Hmm. Well,
That's okay, but I don't know. I feel some type of way about that. That's a lot of
uh,
people. That's a
yeah,
lot of different.
all of those, and see, that's the thing that I'm saying as well. You already have a slew of people that have access to data, with our data in particular, and then
Mhm.
all they're saying is that I don't care what the consumer says. These are all the people that will have the access, including us, and we'll do what we want with your information. It's just that simple. You know, I feel like that's how they feel about it.
Yeah, and this could be part of, and I can see part of the reason why um, businesses have put in legal action
Mhm.
about this because one is new.
Mhm.
Um, and
Right,
like,
no one's ever heard of fencing. I'm not gonna say no one. I'm gonna say me personally, this is my first time even hearing about it. I know that
mhm,
it started in 2023. They were preparing people for it. It was a lot of buzz about it in 2023 about people signing up for this, and but they never had I didn't hear about the consequences until this year. This
well,
year is when it really popped off with, "Oh, if you don't sign up, it's $500 per day, and you're
but
going
that's
to jail."
still 500 for what? Like, even before you get to the 500, we don't know what this is.
Exactly.
So we're finding out about this, and you're tacking on this penalty. So it's like, I'm not even, the penalty is an issue, but we're still trying to figure out what BOI is, who's over it, why this is in place. Like, yeah, you're saying it's for to determine if it's a shell company or people are running legitimate companies, but that's still not giving a whole lot of information.
Well, this whole department is a part of Treasury. So, by being a part of the Treasury Department, that kinda tells you exactly what's going on now, because in the court documents, it does say Janet Yellen. It's Yellen, it's some Texas. um it's right on my website. It's
Yeah.
a it's a Texas versus, let me see if I can go to it really, really quick.
I do know the one business that had the court. I don't know why it's not coming to me, but what's it
I
called?
apologize if my screen went blank. I
No,
just had to bring up.
it didn't go blank at all.
Oh, okay. Okay. So, yeah, it says, in the case of National Small Business United versus Yellen, a federal,
Okay.
so it's called a National Small Business United, and yeah, that's
Okay.
that's who this is. That's what this is about. Um,
And
and
I
it
know they
definitely,
have several companies with a lawsuit. So,
yeah, yep. This and that's what I'm saying. If it's a lot of companies that's saying, "Hey, this ain't right," or something's not right here, you know.
it's almost, well, it's a lot of companies that have already registered. I'm
Mhm.
included in the bunch that already registered, but then you
Mhm.
have those that
Right.
have not registered. I'm one of the companies, one of the businesses that did register. I registered
Right.
both of my businesses.
Mhm.
And I registered because one, I had you and my other friend tell me, like, hey, we need to do this.
Mhm.
Otherwise, we're going to face this penalty. Well, I don't have those funds to be paying because I didn't register.
Right.
Um, Not being aware, but at the time that I registered, the decision was not upheld. So
Right.
at that time, I was just doing like, okay, well, this is what we need to do. Let me go ahead and get my business registered. It was a few days after that when they announced that it was being upheld. But I was like, oh,
Right.
okay, well, I already registered. But that's when I began reading various articles just to see, like, okay, what's really going on. And then I also went to FinCEN's website myself because I didn't
Mhm.
want to rely solely on what someone else is
Anybody else's
telling me,
word. Mhm.
because various people are saying different things. Now, I will say, yes, it's been upheld.
Mhm.
But from what I've been reading from Forbes, from CNBC, and I believe it's MSN,
Mhm.
that even though it's been upheld temporarily, that there is a chance that, because they have already put in an appeal. So if
Mhm.
that appeal, if it's overturned and we still have to register, then you're
Mhm.
still, depending on how they're going to do with this penalty, you're still going to have the chance of being penalized for that
Right.
$500 per day. So that's what I'm hoping, that they postpone that or revisit that. Let me
Right.
just go ahead and give my opinion about this $500. I'm looking in the frequently asked questions because I'm hoping and praying that it's in there somewhere. But I'm trying to figure out who on the committee came up with this dollar amount of $500 per day, not $100 a month, not 150, 200 a month, 500 per day, up to maybe, I think it was 10,000
Right.
that I read is the max.
Mhm.
But it's like small businesses are already struggling. Many are
Mhm.
struggling just to get sales. I mean, just to stay afloat. Now, to put this $500 penalty per day on top of
Right.
that, you're just slapping the small business in the face, like putting them out of business, like
Right. Exactly.
immediately. Because I'm sure that
Mhm.
one $500 in one day is enough to put somebody out of business. So if you
Yes.
have that getting tacked on per day, that's just ridiculous to me. And my other question is, okay, you're wanting a business to pay $500 per day as a penalty for not being in compliance with the registration deadline for this beneficial ownership information. So
Mhm.
my next question is, what are you doing with this $500? Who is this
Exactly.
who is this $500 per day going to? Is it going to go into a fund to help small businesses, to help entrepreneurs? I know for a fact, as a Black female entrepreneur, we're not getting any funding anyway.
Right.
So, where is this money going? Like,
Right.
Is it going to go in some type of pool? Is it going to be a grant? Is there going to be loans offered? Is it like, where's this $500 going, and who is it going to? That's just crazy to me.
Well, it all goes back to, authority. I
Mm,
have the authority to, impose this on you and not tell you, what department it's in or what department, it goes to or where it's going
right.
to be allocated. I actually have, that's what they're saying. We actually have the authority not to do so.
Mm-hmm.
And those are some very, very good questions, like what you just announced, that, oh, where's this going? You're charging $500 a day. Where does it go? Well, right now in government, nobody knows where any money goes except for Ukraine, except for that type of thing. But other than that, I just feel like, with that being said, it's really a mystery. It seems that it will be a mystery, especially now that they say, okay, it's on temporary hold. So what happens with the names that already signed up, in which I think I've heard that 1 point so many million people signed up all over the United States. So but actually, that's why I said it's so voluntary, but it's not voluntary because of the sentence you imposed on everybody.
Well, I think they may be saying it's voluntary
It's
now
voluntary now because it's
because it
on
is
hold.
upheld, right?
It's
Because it's
it's
being
on
upheld.
temporary hold by the courts. But
Yeah,
when it wasn't on hold by the courts,
it wasn't
it
voluntary.
did. I would never believe that you could just say it's voluntary. They said if you don't, you'll get $500 per day, and then civil penalties, and you could go to jail. So that's telling you, I don't care what your business is or what you're doing, if you don't sign up, that's where you'll be. You'll be full of penalties and in jail.
Hmm. Well,
So
hopefully they'll revisit that, why it's being upheld, that they'll revisit the penalty that they're
mhm,
imposing on this.
mhm.
But I did read oh, my next question, sorry. Um
Okay.
it has how will companies, and for those of you, if you're just joining, we are digging into the BOI. The court in Texas upheld the decision that entrepreneurs or small businesses had to register for the BOI. So we're digging into this because they're saying it's a temporary hold. Myself and Natalie, we've already registered. So we're kind of like, okay, what happens with those that have already registered, and people that haven't registered are probably like, okay, what's going to happen if it's overturned because they have an appeal in place? So on the frequently asked questions, I read, and this is one of the points that I pulled out, was how will companies become aware? And I don't even have to go to the frequently asked questions to pull that back up. But they're basically saying that they're making people aware of BOI by social media, various platforms, different publications. And I'm going to say this, I didn't see none of them. I didn't see not a one. And I only learned about this from my friend, who's also my tax preparer. She told me about it, and you told me about it. Had
Mhm.
it not been for you and her, I wouldn't have known anything about it. So where they're publishing this information at, I
Well,
don't know. I didn't see it. I haven't
the
come across it.
the first time I did, I told you I was at the Small Business Expo, and like I said, it was
Okay.
almost like I was targeted. Like they were
Okay.
like, "Excuse me," and I'm like, yeah." So, and then the lady started to tell me about it and stated that, yeah, you own a business, you need to sign up for this and blah blah. And I completely ignored it. I didn't think anything of it. I think the Small
Mm-hmm.
Business expo was sometime this year. And I kind of ignored it. And then when I saw that it kept resurfacing, that's when I got
Mhm.
really, really interested because
Yeah.
it resurfaced numerous of times for me. So that's when I said, well, I know how to do things and sign up and do all that, but does anybody else? And then that's when I made sure I created a way for people to just, even ask questions, have a good advisory on what to do.
Mhm.
Somebody that I had already signed up and they can, I can give my experience to others. So that's the
Yeah.
reason I even thought about it because I wasn't thinking of it at first. When she first pulled me over and was like, "Hey, you need to do this or that," I was like, no." I was
Yeah.
like, no, I won't be doing that." And then, I heard about the 500 a day and in jail time, and that was crazy. Like the stuff that they imposed, it was just outrageous.
And you said they were at the Small Business Expo we were at in Chicago?
Oh, yes, they were
They
there.
they should have been on stage. They should have been on
Yeah,
somebody's
they
stage,
yeah, they right.
not
They
off
should
in
have
a
been, like,
corner in a booth.
announcing.
I'm like, "Where were they at?" Because I was there at the expo, and I don't recall
Girl, I
hearing
passed.
that, and if I did hear about it, it sounded Greek to me, because if you're gonna walk up to me and say, "Hey, you know about the BOI," what am I supposed to think about when you say BOI? That means nothing to
Right,
me.
exactly.
Absolutely nothing. So you should have been on the
And I think a
stage.
lot of people just passed them up because they really
Yeah.
didn't know that they were the financial crimes network there. So people probably just passed them up, and I got a feeling that they'll probably be at this upcoming, expo in Chicago that's coming up next.
I hope they
So,
are, so I can speak to them in person.
yes, I think they're probably gonna be there. So,
Okay,
um,
but that would be
most
awesome because
most
I
definitely. The
I was probably one of the ones that walked past their booth because, one, I
Mhm.
don't know what FinCEN is, never heard of FinCEN, and
Right.
I never heard of BOI, like I never heard of any of this. And far as
Mhm.
I'm concerned, I'm already registered. So if you're gonna come to a small business owner and say, "Hey, you need to get registered for
Mhm.
your ownership information," you know what that sounds like to me? You need to get registered. Well, guess what? I already registered.
Right.
You're not telling me it's not being a red
It
flag to
doesn't click,
me.
right. And
It
that's
doesn't
how
click.
I bet you any amount of money, that's how it was for all the rest of the business owners. They probably felt the same, like, "I don't even know you, like, what is this?" So
I'm already registered. I already have my EIN. Like,
right,
what are you
right.
saying that I need to do? So yeah.
And it's not state regulated, so it's like, well, I've already registered with the state. I have a LLC and
Hmm.
EIN, and what else is there? Right.
Right. But this
So
is at the federal level
yeah,
now.
this is at the federal this is coming from, like, the Federal Reserve. Um,
Hmm.
Janet Yellen is, a part of the Federal Reserve. And it did say that it was a department, some certain department in there. So, um, but I'm not sure, and I'm not even sure, don't quote me. Please do your own research that it's the last name is Yellen. The first thing that came to me when I heard Yellen was the Treasury. That's that name. She's been in the news several times.
The
So with that
Department of
name,
Treasury.
yeah, that's the
Yeah.
first thing that
Hmm.
came to mind. So that's the
Yeah.
only reason why I was saying that, maybe this is a Department of Treasury versus that small business entity that has this case.
Yeah. Well, like I said, it's a lot of information. So we're gonna move on to my next to my
Okay.
next one. So I have let me see, where are we? Okay. So is BOI, beneficial ownership information, reported accessible under the FOIA? They have a ton of acronyms in here, but FOIA stands for Freedom of Information Act.
Yes.
And I am not familiar with this Freedom of Information Act. However,
Let me elaborate on that if you have time on
yes,
that
but I
freedom.
want to answer that. The
Okay.
answer is no, and I'm gonna let you. I'm like, the answer is no. So it does say no, that beneficial ownership information reported to FinCEN is exempt from disclosure under the Freedom of Information Act.
Okay. So wait, so what is it saying again? It's saying that the BOI is exempt under the FOIA.
Yeah, so it's saying that any information that we provided
Uh-huh.
under the beneficial ownership information is not accessible under this Freedom of Information Act.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
So and I could, and you know what? That's totally understandable. Um I just don't see let me get to the Freedom of Information Act in 1 second, but I was gonna say I just don't understand why they couldn't have got this from Dun and Bradstreet either. Dun and Brad, you can look up a company's I think you can look up their actual company name, and you might even be able to look at the EINs to that company. I'm not sure,
Well,
but I
Dun&
know
and
Dun.
Bradstreet, they're kind of like the um am I thinking the right term? Like almost like the credit reporting. Well, not credit, but they're
Yeah,
like the agency for the business, for a small business.
right. It's something
Okay.
similar to that, but you
Mhm.
can still go on there and search companies, like to
Mhm.
see if they're legitimate. Dun& and Bradstreet definitely has a rigorous uh process for you to go through in order to even, and they give you a number. Um, and I apologize for all these interruptions, everybody. Please forgive me. Yep. Give me 1 second. So, like I was saying, the Dun and Bradstreet, I believe you can look that company up and you can find a numerous amount of information for that. Now, the FOIA request, um, with the FOIA request, they are just that's where you can get any type of information about a company. They're saying that they're not going to be under the FOIA request. It
Mhm.
it's just like a company on top of another company. This is, this wanting all this information is just like double. It's like
Mhm.
you're pulling double information because, like I said, even if they wanted to, they could go to the IRS and get the EIN. They can go to Dun and Bradstreet and look up the company. And they keep saying these companies are hiding, these shell companies and this and that. The only companies that are not registered with the Secretary of State are companies that do really well. They make money on their own and they leave the state out of it. So
Mhm.
if you're looking for those people, you'll never find them because they said, you know what, I want to keep all my money. I don't want to pay taxes and I don't want you in my business. It's just that
Mhm.
simple. So if you're looking for them, they're not to be found. But all the rest of the companies, like I said, it's just doing double work. But
Mhm.
I just think it also has something to do with more control as well.
Mhm.
More
Yeah.
control.
I had never heard of the Freedom of Information Act, and
Mhm.
I believe there was a link under on the FinCEN website under that frequently asked question. There's a link that would take you to the
Mhm.
Freedom of Information Act website. So of
Mhm.
course, I went to their website. There was another lot of information. I was like, okay, I'm just gonna read a little snippet of it because I didn't want to overwhelm myself. But I didn't
Okay.
know that they have their own, pretty much like their own database where you can go in and get information on Is it just on companies or can you get information on individuals? It's just for companies, right?
No, it's just for I
For
think that's
small
just you mean
businesses?
the Dun& and Bradstreet?
Mm-mm, the Freedom of Information Act.
Oh, the
That
FOIA. Now that you it's to me, I feel like that's, um with the FOIA, I definitely feel like you can use that. Like, I used it in a sense of, a certain way,
okay.
and, it was to get information that, that about anything that is public information. So that's what
Mm.
the to me, I feel like that's what the FOIA, the Freedom of Information Act really stands for, is just getting, information, publicly that, that, you may not could have found. So
On a small business?
on anything. So, like, if
Oh,
you
okay.
wanted, some information on 9/11, you could go get you can do a FOIA request and
Okay.
find out exactly what happened, or find out information that nobody else is looking for, or it's certain things that you can go to, get a FOIA request for, and you'll be able to look at important information. So that's why I wanted to elaborate on FOIA requests, because they are really, really important. FOIA
Well,
requests.
they definitely mentioned, so I'm sure that question had to been raised because it's on there in
Mhm.
their frequently asked questions. So it says no. So that's
Yeah.
good to know that the
Right.
information that we provided will not be made public.
Right.
Um, the next point that I looked up was what companies are required to report.
Okay.
And again, we know that the
There are like
BOI, this
23.
registration,
Yeah.
yeah. But I just want to reiterate, we do know that, and we're just discussing what it actually is, what the requirements are, because we do know that it is upheld. Right now, they're
Mhm.
saying it's voluntary. So
Mhm.
that's why we're just digging into this just a little bit more for those that are kind of on the fence, like should they or should they not register for this? Because I'm sure there are people that still are registering
Mhm.
for this, and then there are those that are not. Um,
Right.
as far as companies that are required, that would include, let me see, I think I gotta collapse um my frequently asked questions because I got it all the way open. Oh, here we go. Um, sorry, I lost my place. And then, okay, here we go. It's number one. Okay, what companies will be required to report beneficial ownership information to FinCEN? Companies required to report are called reporting companies. There are two
Mhm.
types of reporting companies. The first one is domestic reporting companies, which are corporations,
Mhm.
limited liability companies, and any other entity created by the filing of a document with a Secretary of State or any similar office in the United States.
Mhm.
Two is foreign reporting companies, and those are entities including corporations, limited liability companies, or LLCs, formed under the law of a foreign country that have registered to do business in the United States by the filing of a document with a Secretary of State or any similar office.
Mhm.
And then they go on to say there are 23 types of entities that are exempt from the reporting requirements.
Right.
Um, and that includes, oh, they have the nice little list here. So there's a nice list here on the frequently asked questions. And I'm just going to mention a few of these in here: credit union, bank, and these are the exemptions from having to do the BOI reporting.
Mhm.
Insurance company, um, public utility, accounting firm, inactive entity. I don't know what that is. large
It's
operating company.
okay.
But there's 23 exemption um, ex-
Right. And
to this.
those are companies that absolutely do not have to even indulge in what we're, even doing. They are completely exempt, those 23 companies.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and if your entity is already dissolved at the Secretary of State, you do not have to do the beneficial ownership information report because it's already dissolved and there's no activity. But when your EIN is active and you did not get rid of it, you do have to fill that out. And then also, if you have an entity that you are no longer in use, Geeks Are Women 2 also helps you get rid of that entity. So, which is, one of our good things to go along with this beneficial ownership.
Mm-hmm.
And all you have to do is just go to the website, geeksarewomen2.com, and schedule an appointment, and we'll help you get rid of any unwanted entities. But if your entity is already dissolved and you're not using it, you don't have to sign up. It's
Right.
the active entities.
Yeah, you don't need to do anything.
Hmm.
Um, the next point that I pulled out is a sole proprietorship a reporting company? No, unless a sole proprietorship was created
Hmm.
or in a foreign sole proprietorship registered to do business in the United States by filing a document with the Secretary of State or similar office.
So, with that being said, a lot of us are a lot of single business owners are considered sole proprietorships. So you won't have to fill out the beneficial ownership information as well. But there are also people that actually have LLCs that do not have the title of sole proprietorship. And I think they filled out a different tax form for that, and they would be eligible for the beneficial ownership information report. I'm almost certain that's probably what they're speaking of. So if you are a sole proprietorship, you don't have to fill that out. And that's a good thing. They're not talking to you. But if you filled out a
Yeah,
different form, so your LLC cannot be personally a part of you, which is what sole proprietorship is. It's just you as an entity. It's a part of you. And when you're sued, they're suing you and the business.
you know what? I'm reading this again, and to me, it's saying that is a sole proprietorship a reporting company?
Hmm.
No, no, unless a
See.
sole proprietorship was created in the
Hmm.
United States by filing a document with the Secretary of State or similar
See.
office. So to me, it says you do.
Yes, that's what it's saying. So,
You do have to file if you're a sole proprietorship. Not
but
it's
remember what I
saying you
told
do.
you. But remember how I told you how you can actually hear it because it's how it's voluntarily. Remember we just talked about the people that never went to the
Mm-hmm.
Secretary of State. They're talking to
Mm-hmm.
them. No, you don't have to fill it out because guess what? You never did come in. You kept all your money. You don't. How? Why would you file? For what? Because you know what I'm saying. You're doing fine without the state. So I guess they're saying, yeah, you're a sole proprietorship and you don't have to come in. But if you filed an LLC with the state, yeah, you got to come in. But how else would you be able to be a legitimate business that does and you everybody basically wants that title, oh, I got an LLC, blah blah blah. But how would you actually be able to benefit if you didn't go to the Secretary of State, you know what I'm saying, and fill that
Mm-hmm.
out? I mean, of course you don't have to fill out from the state, but I feel like you can benefit still, even if you didn't. You can get a lot of customers or whatever, but a lot of people will be like, "Oh, well, there's no way to sue you if anything happens with your product." And you're a sole proprietorship, how can I sue you? And I don't even have any information about your business. You're not an LLC, you're not this, you're not a corporation. I can't
Mhm.
sue you. So I think that has a lot to do with it as well.
Yeah. Okay, we went over our company's exempt. Um, but yeah, I mean, it's a lot. Please go on the FinCEN website and read over their frequently asked questions because it's a lot of information on there. And those were just seven, eight
Mhm.
key eight key points that I pulled out from there that I wanted to know about. Um, but I'm trying to glance through here to see if they say anything about this $500. Anything about this $500 um in here, but it's so much information because I mean they're touching on a lot of points. Um, but I'm just curious to know if they're calling out anything about the penalties or and I'm not seeing anything. Not to say that they don't. They
Right.
probably do. I just haven't come
You don't
across. I'm
see
gonna have to
anything at the
yeah,
moment.
I'm gonna have to take time to really go through it because it's tons of information, but I'm just trying to kind of stay close to this.
Mhm.
Because I'm just curious to know what the outcome of it is gonna be.
And I'm actually doing the same as you. Like, I really want to keep an eye on when January 1st hits,
Hmm.
or if anything happens before then. We have so much information going out there right now, at this time, with so many other things. And this is just another drop in the pond, a rock in the pond for this.
Right.
But there's a whole plethora of information out there about a lot of stuff. And for them to actually throw this in along with everything else, that's something else. you know,
I
that is
know.
really something. And I know they're trying to bombard us with a lot of information, a lot of things that's going on. So I definitely want to keep an eye on this, especially since it is temporary. It did not
Yeah.
say that it was overturned, but overturned temporarily. There is no, oh, it was overturned and that's done. We still have to face this. We still have a lot to look at with this. So we still need to be vigilant.
Yes, yes, I totally agree. So we went over eight key points, and I'm just going to briefly go back over what we discussed during this live. We discussed what is BOI, which is the beneficial ownership information reporting. If you see the R is for reporting. Number two, why do companies have to report? Number three, under the CTA, the Corporate Transparency Act, who can access the BOI information? Number four, how will companies become aware of the BOI reporting? Number five, is BOI reported accessible? Let me read that over. Number five, is BOI reported accessible under the FOIA, which stands for the Freedom of Information Act? Number six, what companies are required to report? Number seven, is a sole proprietorship a reporting company? And number eight, are some companies exempt from reporting? So, again, those were some key points that we discussed during this live. We did drop the link to FinCEN, which is the company that is, I want to say, over or managing the information systematically in their system. FinCEN, which is the Financial Crime Enforcement Network. I'm shaking my head because I'm remembering all these acronyms.
Right.
And, I guess so because I've been reading about it.
Yeah,
Um,
kinda
but
sticks with you.
yeah, but we highly recommend to please visit the FinCEN, website. You can also reach out to Natalie of Geeks of Women Too. Her
Mhm.
website or Geeks of Women Too, is it
Dot
.com?
com. Yep. We
Dot
geekswomen
com.
dot com. Mhm.
And she has the information to FinCEN on her website as well.
Mhm.
Um, we also want to reiterate on should you decide to proceed to register for the BOI, it is free.
Mhm.
It's free of charge. I have
Yes.
personally seen companies charging as much as $350 to as little as $150. So
Right.
companies are literally charging to complete this form, which takes less than I mean, it literally took me less than 5 minutes. I want to say maybe 2 minutes, if that,
Yes.
to complete the form. It's not a long form. It's your basic information. Um,
Mhm.
Two key things that they do ask you for is your EIN number, which is like your business social security number, and your picture ID
Mhm.
or I think there's other identifications, forms of identification that you can use, but I used my license and provided my EIN number, but it's
I
free.
used my passport, so just in case
Mhm.
anybody, I used the passport. I didn't,
And it
give
gives you
them.
different options that you can
Right,
do.
it sure does, and so you
So
can upload those documents, but I
yeah,
definitely use the passport.
so it's completely up to you. They do. I know I did see passport and your ID. I
Mhm.
can't remember, and there may be other forms of ID that you can utilize when submitting your information, but it was really quick. They send you an email confirming that they've received your information, and you also get assigned a FinCEN number, if I'm saying that correctly, but you get
Mhm.
assigned a number.
Right.
So we don't know if this is going to be, at least I haven't come across if this is going to be an annual type of
Type of
thing
right,
that you have
right.
to do. So it's new.
It
So
shouldn't have to be because I feel like once they got it, they got it. Don't
yeah.
you're not gonna lose it or
Mm-mm.
hopefully it won't be annual,
Yeah. But
but
yeah,
who
I
knows?
hope it's just a one
Yeah.
time thing, but it's
And
new.
hopefully they'll get rid of it. Actually, I'm hoping that they'll just get rid of it,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know, and
We
nobody
shall
has to
see.
sign up.
No,
Nobody has to do all of this craziness.
they don't, or they're going to revisit it because this is a new process. So they
Right.
may
Right.
revisit it and work out the tweaks. So I just feel like it's new, just like anything else. You don't figure out, I mean, you'll figure out the kinks and all that stuff, what's
Mhm.
right, what's wrong as you go along. So
Right.
maybe it's something that they'll take down and revamp it all together, or definitely revisit that $500 per day.
Oh,
Please,
girl.
please.
They need to do something with that. If they don't do nothing else, they better do something with that
Yeah,
$500.
yeah. If they do away with that, I'll
Mhm.
be okay. I'll be okay with that. But
Right.
um, if it's findings that it's unconstitutional, then yeah, just do away with it.
Right.
We don't need our information breached or given to someone that does not have any need, for it.
Exactly.
Especially like our EIN number. That's our social security number for our business. So we don't
It is.
need
It
other
is.
people with that information, even with our private information, because we're giving you our IDs, our
Mhm.
passport information. So we need that to
Right.
be
ID, passport,
private as well. Yeah.
and it's not like they don't have access to it. They just
Mm-mm.
need you to voluntarily do stuff,
Mm-hmm.
and but like I said, that was a coercion. That was not a voluntary act.
Yeah.
Voluntary is what you're doing now, saying that it's
Yeah.
temporary, you
Yeah.
can you don't have to. But before, when you were warning people of the looming deadline of January 1st, 2025, that's definitely not voluntary. That is
Mhm.
that is full control,
Yeah,
you know?
it is, and I think it was, I don't know, maybe was it a scare tactic to say, like, if we increase the penalty amount, that'll make a sense of
That'll make everybody
urgency.
come in,
That's a
right?
sense
That'll
of
make
urgency versus, "Hey, we have this new form or
mhm,
requirement that you guys need to, register for," and people probably, like, brush it off, and technically, I was still kinda brushing it off because I didn't know what it was.
right,
I
right,
didn't know, so it wasn't like I was trying to brush it off just because, it just didn't register with me
right,
because in my mind, I'm like, "I'm already registered, I don't need that,"
right.
but
But just like
apparently
I
you do.
said, everybody probably had the same idea as you.
Mhm.
Everybody is probably like, "Oh, whatever," and they know
Yeah,
that. I bet you
right.
they know that.
Of
These
course they
businesses
do.
don't have time to pay $500 a day, which is why they
Mhm.
set it so high. So and they said
Right.
per day, just like you said, they didn't say per month. They didn't
Mm-mm.
say, per year, they said per day.
I was like, "Was that a typo? Like, did somebody get carried away and actually put per day, and it should have been per month or,
Right.
within
Or
6 months."
per
I don't know, but that per day was a little bit excessive,
right.
y'all. I just want to say
That
that
was
was a little
crazy.
bit.
That was something else.
Yeah, yeah, so in closing, we just wanna make sure that you guys know where to look, where to go for
Mhm.
that information. FinCEN does have a YouTube channel
Oh,
because I
yes.
did go there and they have videos and things there as well. But I would say if you want to know more information about it, to just go to the source, or you can also visit Natalie's website, Geeks Are Women Too. She has a slew of information about
Yes,
the
geeksourwomen2.com, and it's
yes,
free
yeah.
advisory if you have
Hmm.
more questions, something that we did not answer on here, and you still have questions, you feel free to, go right to my website, schedule an appointment, I'll talk to you. I'll make sure you get all the information you need about, the beneficial ownership report. Um, and like I said, I do this because I just don't want to see someone paying that amount of money. That is crazy to do that, so,
Hmm.
and I just feel like it's free, you don't have to pay anything. It's no obligation to you. But if you would like to schedule an advisory, you can go right to my webpage. It's right there. Just click schedule an appointment and it'll, I'll be there.
Awesome, awesome. I hope this information was helpful. It was helpful for me just preparing for this and just reading through the
Mhm.
information because it was some things that I knew, but as I digged into it more, I was getting more answers that I was looking for.
Mhm.
But like I said, we'll just be staying tuned to what's to come and
Yes.
hear like, okay, do we need to start getting registered? More people need to just get on board, start getting registered. They did away with the penalty.
I
I still have
also
a
watch out for their website, one more thing, just watch on
yeah.
their website because at first, when we heard that they had overturned the case, it
Mhm.
was not posted on their website when I went on
Mm,
there, and
okay.
then I think when we went back on there, they posted it, but
Yeah.
please watch their website, because
Right.
they can say some things and it's not posted up yet, and then you've beaten done some sort of act of not doing it and get fined because they didn't post it, or you
Right.
didn't see it or something like that. So make sure you watch out for their website.
Right. Well, Natalie, it has been a joy as always.
Same
Um,
here.
and what is your how can people, I know we gave your website.
Hmm.
What is your primary social media channel?
I am now, right now, I am most definitely on YouTube at Geeks
Okay.
Are Women Too. So if you search Geeks Are Women Too, you'll find me on YouTube. I
Okay.
am also on TikTok, Instagram, and Facebook. So I do have a Facebook group where I post different events in there. I post events, I post a lot of stuff from my company. So if you would like to join the group, just go right over to Facebook and look for Geeks Are Women Too, and you should be able to find me there. I am on Instagram as well, and TikTok.
Awesome, awesome.
Yep.
Well, thank you so much. And you guys, be sure to like, give a thumbs up, subscribe, hit the notification button, and also visit getaroundtown.org, which is the
Mhm.
website to my business. And feel free to join my email list. I recently just started sending out weekly newsletters. So I would love for you guys to be a
Yay.
part of my community. I know that's an accomplishment that I did that I've been working on. So yeah, I'm actually proud of myself for doing that. So I was like, "Ooh, I'm finally getting things done." So yeah, so thank you guys so much for joining this
Mhm.
podcast. And as I said, I need to get used to the fact of me saying, "Hey, join my podcast, mind your business," because I've been saying like, "Welcome to my channel."
Right.
I'm good with that too, and I'm gonna be working on. I've been trying to get my content together to where I can come on every Thursday. But then
Mhm.
I get focused on one thing and I don't, come on like I want to. So that's a goal of mine is to,
Yeah.
start sticking more to my schedule. Yeah. Cause I really
Yeah. I'm
enjoy, going
trying
live.
to. It's
Yeah.
hard to juggle YouTube and a whole
Yeah.
bunch of, that's really hard.
Right.
But
It's
we
hard,
all are
but it's
trying.
yeah, I know, and it's doable. So we're gonna
Mhm.
we're gonna get it done. So thank you so much, and thank you again for introducing me to Restream.
No
Oh, I
problem.
forgot to mention that. So I am utilizing a platform called Restream, and I believe is it
Yes.
Restream.com?
It's restream.com.
Okay,
Yep, you can go there
okay,
and you'll see the whole setup. If you want to have more free platforms, I do have a video on my page that's introducing at least 3 free platforms for live streaming. So if you do have a YouTube page and you understand how to, navigate all that stuff, I got some good information for you at geekshourwomen2.com on I'm sorry, at geekshourwomen2 on YouTube. Oh my God, it's so
she kept popping up on my leg, and I'm like, okay, I got to give you a little bit of
cute. See,
TV time, airtime.
it's a he or she.
Her name is Sasha.
Oh, hey Sasha, you
This is
so
my baby
cute.
girl. So if you ever hear me say, I have all boys. So if you ever hear me say baby girl, I'm talking about this little
You
girl.
talking about Sasha? Oh
I
wow.
am. I am. Yes, I am. So you came up here to help mama close out. You did.
Such a
So
beautiful
I
pet.
thank you so much. So thank you guys for joining my podcast, Mind Your Business. And I will be coming back again next Thursday. I can't believe we only have a few more weeks in 2024, and then we're going
Oh
to be in
wow, yeah.
2025. And I still have a lot of preparing to do for 2025. So
Me too. Yeah.
stay tuned for some upcoming things that's going to be happening here. So I'm excited about it and connecting with more entrepreneurs. And you'll be seeing Natalie back again soon as well.
Yes, I hope to be back really, really soon. It's
You'll
been
be,
a
I
pleasure.
know,
I thank
I know.
everyone. I really do. Thank you so much for staying and this, looking at the live stream. I appreciate that. And I definitely hope to see you again, maybe even see you on my page as well. So
Oh, that would be awesome. Looking forward to it.
yep.
All right, love. Well, thank you so much. And I will be talking with you soon.
Okay. And make sure you email me.
I will. I will.
Okay.
All right.
Okay. I'll
See
talk
ya.
to you soon. See you
Bye.
guys. Bye bye.